Evening everyone. So tonight I'm going to be comparing these two guitars. The Epiphone inspired by Les Paul Jr. I think this is a 2023 model. And this, which is the Mexican made Fender Player Stratocaster. And I think this is a 2021 model. So, why the two guitars? And why does one of them have to go? So originally I bought this, bought the Fender first, really happy with it, until I started doing some rehearsals with the band, and I got a bit frustrated with it. It just didn't seem to be cutting through the mix, and I thought that I needed something a lot simpler with a lot more punch to it, a lot more power, and a lot less fiddly. So I didn't want to spend a fortune, so I got this, which sort of did the job. But now that's sort of fell by the wayside. That didn't turn out. The band stuff didn't turn out. So I'm left with two guitars. I don't like hanging on to guitars. I don't like having more than one electric guitar when I'm not in a band and I don't need a spare. So one of these has to go. Which one is it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the pros of each and compare them against each other. And I'm going to start with the Epiphone because they are both great guitars, and I've done review videos for each of these if you want to just check out the description after later on. Okay, so the Epiphone inspired by Les Paul Jr. So this is the sort of the most basic Les Paul that you can get, really. One P90 singles Priest bridge, and that's it. So the advantages of this guitar over that one then, right? So number one, value for money. So this guitar costs about half the price of that. This is about 300-ish, £320 UK sterling, and that's about double. Now, financially, the best thing for me to do would be sell the Fender. I would get a lot more money back than I would selling this. So that's financially, I'd say I would definitely be better off. Plus these are just, for £320, this is a lot of guitar for the money. This is not half the guitar of that. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's a lot closer than that, is what I'm trying to say. The next thing that this guitar's got going for it is just the lack of issues. As soon as I got it, took it out of the box, what did I do with it? There was a little bit of fret buzz on the first few frets, which I corrected straight away by just loosening the truss rod a quarter of a turn, giving it a bit more neck relief. That sorted that problem out, no problem. And when that was sorted out, I just tried to see how low I could get the action, which was low. It was lower than the Strat. I got this down to about 1.2 millimeters. I got the Strat down to about 1.4. So yeah, just no issues with this guitar. I mean, the Strat here has been riddled with issues since day one. Just to take you through some of the issues that I have had with the Strat. Yeah, so first of all, the nut. The nut needed. I needed to take that to a guitar tech to basically to sort the nut out. It wasn't cut right, and if you sort of magnify into those nut slots, it is just a dog's dinner. I don't know what's going on with that. So there was the nut, and then there was also the saddles. So it came with the bent steel saddles, which were just rubbish. You couldn't get the action high enough. So I've upgraded the saddles to block saddles. I didn't like the string tree. I've upgraded that to another string tree, and even stuff like the tremolo arm. I've needed to put a spring in there just to get it to not flap about. So yeah, the Strat's been riddled with issues, and this, not a single issue since day one, which is brilliant. So number 3, really, pros for this guitar is just the simplicity. You know, having one pickup, a one-piece bridge, you know, one tone, one volume, no selector. So simple as an electric guitar can get, and it's one of the reasons I got it as well, apart from not punching through, you know, in a band mix. Excuse me. I wanted to have something that was a lot more basic, because you know you've got songs to learn, and you've got to worry about that. You've got equipment, you've got effects. You know, I just wanted to experiment with having a really basic guitar with hardly anything to go wrong on it. You know, no trem, no nothing. You know, and this is what this is. This is just such a simple guitar. That's something that I love about it. So number 4 is just the sustain that this guitar has, just inherently built into the guitar. You know, even just played acoustically. I've got sound samplers. I've got comparisons in the video review that I did for this guitar. So check that out in the description. But yeah, the OD overdriven tones, straight out of the box, you know, plugged straight into an amp, blow that away, you know. That needs tweaking. This has got that sound straight away, those overdriven rhythm tones, you know, the lead tones. This has got it, and it punches through, and it just did everything that I wanted it to do. So number 5 is the hardware on this guitar. I mean, I spoke about the nut on the Strat and the issues it's had with it. Now, this guitar it comes shipped with a very well cut Graphtec nut. Yeah. The tuners, you know, don't be fooled by these sort of tuning buttons. These are really good quality tuners. The P90, you know, it's Chinese made, but it's a really good P90. You know, it's got a lot of oomph to it. Single piece bridge, solid. You know, no messing about with trims or anything like that. You know, it's got CTS pots. It's actually really easy to upgrade this guitar as well. You know, it's got the sort of plug-in attachment, so you don't need to solder pickup one if you want to exchange the pickup, for example. So it's just really easy to upgrade, and just solid hardware throughout this guitar. You know, there's not much hardware, not much hardware as that, but what's here is pretty solid stuff, which is great. And lastly, it's just got a really solid feel to it. It feels very Gibson-ish. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, this line of guitars, the inspired by Gibson range by Epiphone, it's pretty close to a Gibson. You know, hasn't quite got that Gibson vibe. It hasn't got the nitro, but it does feel like a Gibson. You know, it's got that weight. It's just got the chunky neck. It feels very stable, is what I'm trying to say. You know, the one-piece bridge is helping that. You know, having the one pickup and no other cavities in the whole of the guitars, you know, that's helping the sustain. That's helping it to feel solid. It's got a fair bit of weight to it, you know, compared to the Strat. Feels solid. Yeah, I'm waffling about that now, but yeah, solid guitar. You know, it's reliable, it's dependable, it's simple. There's been no issues with it. You know, it's a bargain. £300 guitar. It's great, but one of them has to go, I'm afraid. I can't have one of both of these guitars. So that's the Epiphone. So I know what you're probably thinking at this stage. You know, like, there's a lot of negative things about this, but I still love Stratocasters, and this is the best Stratocaster, despite all of the issues that I've owned. So I'm just going to take you through a list of, you know, the positives of this guitar over that one now. And the first one is the playability. As soon as I pick up this guitar, you know, this just feels like a truck or a tank. It's solid, powerful, you know, but this just feels like a Formula One car, you know. You can just zip around it. You know, it's got that 9.5 inch radius fingerboard versus the 12 inch. So the Epiphone is flatter, but this just melds into the sort of the crook of my hand a lot better. The neck's thinner, you know, but it's got that satin finish on the back, and it's just, it's great. This is a great guitar to play. The string tension is a lot better on this guitar than that. You wouldn't think so, but it is. And just going back to the Epiphone, I think that's largely in part to the one-piece bridge. I think the one-piece bridge is adding a lot of stiffness to the feel of this guitar. I did explain that in the last video, but I think it's to do with the sort of the brake angle at the bridge. You know, the Epiphone's brake angle is sort of like that and goes around, whereas on the Strat, it sort of goes like that as it passes over the bridge. So whatever the reason, the Strat just feels infinitely better to play. Bends feel a lot slinkier, it's faster, it's better, it feels more quality. The Power Ferro board on this, you know, I know it's not rosewood, but it's a very good quality Power Ferro. It looks really dark. I did apply some Lemonade to it when I first got it. I haven't put any on since, but it's retained that darkness. The Epiphone, it's a Laurel fingerboard, and it just feels scruffier. The Player Strat feels a lot nicer, just buttery, just feels more quality. So secondly, and this is a big one, the clean tones. You know, I mentioned before about the Epiphone. You know, it fixed a problem to do with overdriven tones. It had that punch, but you cannot make that P90 on that Epiphone sound anything like the clean tones on this, which are, you know, the foundation for everything really. You know, if you get a decent clean tone, you're out to a winner. You know, you can apply overdrive. And you know, in hindsight, I shouldn't have really given up with the Strat. You know, in a band context, I should have just used, you know, outboard gear, like a different type of overdrive, more mids to punch through, because the Strat is capable of that. The Strat is capable of sounding like that. The Strat is capable of sounding like a Les Paul, but a Les Paul is not capable of sounding like a Stratocaster. Simple as that. It needs more work, yeah, to get those tones out of a Strat, but that's what a Strat's all about. You know, you've got that beautiful, clear, clean tone, add what you want, you know, get where you want. So what's next? Well, an obvious one, the looks. Just look at it. To me, that's the perfect electric guitar. What the perfect electric guitar should look like. You know, polar white, rosewood-ish board. You know, even the headstock, they've updated the headstock on these new players, and it's perfect. Perfect. It looks perfect. You know, and this kind of doesn't. You know, it looks blocky, it looks cheap, because it is cheap. You know, it feels quality, you know, it feels hefty, but it's a bit of an ugly duckling, I think. It definitely doesn't look as good as the Strat. I know that's just, you know, a very subjective thing, but I love the look of this guitar. And I remember, you know, I've been wanting this guitar for years and years and years and years. Couldn't afford it, and when I could afford it, I thought, right, I'm getting this this play a Stratocaster, you know, and that's going to be my companion for life. And you know, that was my thinking at the time before I got that. But anyway, no regrets about getting this guitar at all. The other thing is, this guitar is a lot closer to the real McCoy, and by the real McCoy I mean a USA standard series Stratocaster. So at the minute that's like, I think they're called the American Pro 2. This is a lot closer to the American Pro 2 Strat than this is to a Gibson Les Paul Jr. Why? Well, this does feel pretty close to a Les Paul Jr., but when you think about it, there's a lot of differences. I'll explain in the last video, but you know, it's got the veneer top, it's got the veneer back. You know, it hasn't got a nitro like the Gibson. It's got a 3-piece neck versus the 1-piece neck of the Gibson. You know, you've got a bit of a downgraded pickup. I dare say you've got downgraded hardware. This is only a quarter of the price of the Gibson, but I think there's still a lot of things that this hasn't got that the Gibson has got. Put it that way. Now this, I thought long and hard about getting a USA Fender, you know, the Performer series and even the USA series, and I consciously went for this because I couldn't see any reason to go for the American. You know, these are even made just over the border, a few miles over the border, in, you know, the Baja factory in Mexico. You know, from the American factory. You know, whereas that's made in China versus the USA. So there's really not that much difference between this and the USA. I mean, I think the USA's got the push-in trem, which is better. But this has still got, you know, a big block trem. It's still got great pickups. It's still got 22 frets. It's still got the lovely headstock. I'm happy with this. I don't have any ambitions towards the USA model at all. So yeah, this is closer to the USA than that by miles. So next, well, it's what the Strat's famous for, really. It's versatility. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is a bit of a one-trick pony. It does overdriven tones and, you know, getting into, you know, lead tones very well. But the thing is, this P90, and I am a fan of P90s, but what I've always thought about P90s is they're a bit of a compromise. You know, you're never going to get the clean sounds of a Strat, nowhere near. And you're going to get about 80% of the way to a full-blown humbucker tone. Plus you haven't got the benefit of a humbucker to buck the hum, so it's noisy. So yeah, I think Les Pauls are limited, all Les Pauls. But this one in particular, and I don't care what anybody says about, oh, you've got the tone control, you can roll it off. You cannot get clean tones on that to match that. And the overdriven tones, although great, they're not quite as versatile as or powerful as a full-blown Les Paul with two humbuckers. You know, so this is limited, and this grants you ultimate versatility. I mean, there's less to worry about on that guitar. There's no trim, but the tones on this guitar, you know, those in-between positions, you know, the overdriven tones with the tone knocked back on the in-between positions, you know, to get those Les Paul type tones, you know, just whacking it into the bridge position, you know, and giving it full beans for solos. It can do it all. The Stratocaster, it can do it all. Plus you've also got, you know, a trem as well, you know, which you can have no end of fun with that as well. You know, it is useful, you know. Just simple things like, you know, dive bombing and stuff at the end of songs and things like that, just to give it a bit of drama. just simple things like it doesn't have to be much, but you know, just shaking chords, and it's just a nice to have. It's so versatile, you know, tonally and everything else. You can do everything with a Strat. You can do a few things with that. There you go. And also the design of the Stratocaster, I think, is just unmatched. Now, just sat here and just having it on my lap, you know, you can just tell straight away that's more comfortable than that. You know, it's lighter. It's just it's got that belly contour. You know, it's got the straight string pull. It's got that balance. You know, it just feels right. It just feels like it was designed right by, you know, Leo Fender, you know, at the first attempt. Everything, just the way the volume pots, you know, is close so you can do your violin, and you know, it's just a marriage of form and function. You know, it looks beautiful and everything's in the right place. You know, the upper fret access is better than on that. Just everything about it, everything about the Strat, it looks great, and it's just, it plays great, and it's designed great. I can't stop raving about it, to be honest. Yeah, just the synergy, really. It just feels like a more together instrument than that. I mean, another way I'd like to put that is, that just feels right, you know. But this has got a lot of, you know, good quality parts. It's got a lot of features, but does it feel more coherent an instrument? No, it doesn't. It just feels like parts put together, and it does feel something that has been put together well, but it just lacks that magic, you know, that the design of the Stratocaster's got. Yeah, so just the last point, you know, I did mention earlier that, you know, the Strat has had a lot of issues. Now, I've been on a bit of a journey with this guitar, you know. It's been a bit of a love-hate relationship with it for the last 2 years. But you know what, I don't care. You know, like I said before, it's like a Formula 1 car. You know, if you get a slight little niggle on a Formula 1 car, it's going to stand out. That little thing is going to stand out. You know, but you know, if you get something happen on a truck like this thing, you're not going to notice. You know, because this guitar just vastly outperforms that guitar, I think, you know, in most areas. So Strats are fiddly at the end of the day. That's just in the nature. They're fiddly. They've got lots of moving parts, and you have to work on that. You know, the tuning stability. You know, I know that at some stage I'm just going to get frustrated and just, you know, either have some work done on the nut again, or get another graph tech nut. But the beauty of Stratocasters is, it's a lot easier to just whack a new nut in here than it is to put a new nut on that, for sure. Is there anything else I can say? I think that's it. Yeah. This is just a high performance, beautiful, well designed guitar. Yeah, from the ground up. And it's got the heritage, you know. Whereas, and it's quite close to the USA model, I think. Whereas this one, you know, it's a great guitar. You know, I have got a soft spot for this guitar, you know, because it's just given us no problems, and it's just delivered the goods, you know, in just a very sort of efficient, straightforward way. But it just hasn't got those clean tones, you know, and it hasn't got that X factor, that magic that makes you want to love it, for me. So, I guess you know what I'm going to say. Which one am I going to keep? Which one goes? This one's going to have to go. And you know what? I'll be happy to sort of let this go and, you know, to sell it to somebody that will appreciate it and will play it. because this is a guitar, you know, to be played live. You know, if you're in a punk band, an indie band, you know, it can do clean tones, you know, backing off the P90. The P90 is versatile, so you know, for gigging, you can cover a lot of ground with this guitar. Yeah, but for my, you know, for my money, it's never going to match this. It's never going to match this. And this, with a bit of work, can sound like anything. I think it just needs a bit of work, but it's in there. You know, it's in there waiting to be found. Whereas with that one, you are limited. You know, it's impossible to make it sound like this. So, waffling again. So, thanks for watching this video. If you've been in the market for any of these two guitars, I hope that's been helpful. Do check the description because I've reviewed both of these guitars. Both fantastic guitars. I highly recommend either of them, to be honest. I think they're both great, but one of them has to go. Thanks for all my new subscribers. Don't forget, I've got a giveaway for a guitar wireless system. That's going to close tomorrow, 6 PM UK time. So check out the other videos in the channel for that. I'm giving away a free wireless system. And thanks for subscribing and watching and liking and all that jazz. Catch you on the next one.